sports, politics, life. 360 Document Solutions presents Kevin Keatsman Has Issues online at 360documentsolutions.com.
Every now and then I just get sucked in. I get sucked in by the media on the left. Old habits die hard, and I'll be flipping around and I'll check something out and I'll say, hey, let's just see what they're talking about today and what's going on over there. And I did that on this Tuesday morning. As I was finishing up all the show notes, I had covered all the sports. I was ready to go after watching the College World Series on Monday night and found some cool sports stories we're going to share with you in a little bit. But out of basically the comfort zone or out of the regular strategy or processes of putting the podcast together, I flip it over to the old habit that we had for years and years and years, and that was watching the first segment of Good Morning America or flipping around to the Today Show or CBS Morning News and see what they're talking about. I knew what Fox News was going to be talking about. I know what CNN and MSNBC are going to be talking about, but I'm always interested, is there going to be some balance? What are they talking? So I flip over, and here are the topics we get. We get severe weather, which is severe heat around the country, unusually hot temperatures. We're going to get some of those in Kansas City for about 48 hours. Then no mention of this. Like in our area, we're looking at a lake weekend. It's going to be really hot on Wednesday and Thursday, it looks like. But by Saturday, it could be 82 hanging out at the lake, which is way lower than you would expect this time of year. And, of course, you know what they're trying to do. They're trying to scare you and make you think that there are hotter temperatures, more drought, more storms. At the same time they say more drought, there's more storms, more tornadoes, more rain, there's just more weather. There's just more weather. Then they, of course, marry this to travel and a holiday coming up, which is a giant cliche. This was the lead on Good Morning America. They also promoted that they have good news stories coming up concerning housing and lower costs for the 4th of July as inflation seems to be backing off. This is their tease. This is a rundown of their stories. I never got to that story. If you're going to try to tell me costs are coming down, that's what you're leading with. I'm like, this whole newscast is a sham. They promote that they'll do the Trump audio story and a train derailment in Montana because the train spilled some chemicals. The nasty train spilled some chemicals into the Yellowstone River. And, of course, that's environmental, and that's just right in the wheelhouse. We apparently shouldn't be using trains is behind all this. But you flip around to the three networks, and they're all doing the same stories. It's either weather-related or Trump. That's one or two, okay? The earth is heating up or it's acting weird and we're all going to die. Or, this evil Trump story is out there. So I don't know why I did it. It's like catnip or something. But I had watched this for a couple of moments, and I couldn't take it anymore. And I get off this thing, and I go to some websites because I do think that if you can navigate the web just a little bit, it's the best way to find the actual information. So I was concerned. I'm like, okay, Anderson Cooper on Monday night on CNN has some illegally leaked audio of the president of the United States, apparently with a publisher, a writer, and two staffers. They're discussing a book project that they're going to do, a biography, you would think, something about the Trump presidency. And he's talking, and they have this clip, and of course they edit it tightly. They edit this thing tightly where he says, you have these classified documents, and you can hear these papers like Rush Limbaugh used to do. You can hear these papers ruffling around. Trump's got all these papers, and he's doing this. But there's no full context. That's not the full quote. So as you're searching around on the internet, you find out exactly what Trump said. Somebody asked him a question about Milley and the coup starting very early with the Union administration. And the biographer, the person who's wanted to talk to him about a book, is saying, well, the coup actually started before you were in office. They tried to get you out before you were in. And then you had a guy like Milley, General Milley, who was working behind the scenes to try to disrupt and disable you as president in any way possible. And Trump says, okay, this is what you won't hear anywhere else. And when they edit these things, you won't hear this. But when it gets entered into evidence in a court, and we'll get to the case in a moment, because this is all building Jack Smith's case against Trump. And, of course, they want the public sentiment out there against him. They want all this audio leaked. And the left's running with it. Oh, we got Trump now. We've got audio of him saying he's got classified documents, is the way they're making it sound. Every time they think they've got Trump, They do it and they promote it and they put it out there and they report it as news. I'm not smart enough to know the difference between misinformation and disinformation. I actually am. I just don't care. Okay. So this one is selective editing. I think the only thing that ever needs to be discussed about dishonest media is what they edit out, what they censor from you knowing. That's the only important thing. It's not when they lie to you. You can cross-reference that, and if you really want to figure it out, you can find out if they're lying to you. Sometimes you can't figure out that they're leaving things out, and that's far more powerful than them telling you lies. And they can get caught in lies. They'd rather not tell you lies. They'd rather just report the story unfairly. And so this is what they do. But here's what Trump actually said. If you go into the internet, if you go find the full audio, if you read the transcript of the thing, Trump says, "Oh, with Millie? Let me see that." And he reaches across, apparently, or they hand him a stack of papers. "I'll show you an example." That's when he starts ruffling the papers. These papers could be anything. He didn't have them in his hand. He said, "With Millie, let me see that." So one of these people had some papers in front of him. "Let me see that." And he holds them up and he starts ruffling around. He goes, "I'll show you an example." Wait, that's the first part of the quote. With Millie, let me see that, which means somebody else had something, and he took it from them. Says, "I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers," and now he's really rattling these papers. He grabbed somebody else's papers and he was physically showing what Millie did to him. That's what this is. I'm not even sure they're saying these are classified documents. It doesn't sound like it to me. It sounds to me like he was telling a Millie story about how Millie came to him and was dumping classified documents in front of him that says, "I have a big pile of papers. This just came up. Look, this was him." That's what Trump was doing. He was imitating Millie. And this pile of papers was about some sort of a planned attack on Iran. And Millie was like, "We know you want to attack Iran." And Trump's like, "What? I don't want to attack Iran." What? It's so bizarre. The whole thing is bizarre. Unless there's video, unless somebody can see a top secret document in his hand, there is no other interpretation of what Trump was doing other than just imitating Mark Milley. I don't know how anybody could listen to the audio and hear the words, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't that amazing? I have this big pile of papers. And I got this big pile of papers here. And it just came up. Look, this was him. This was the Department of Defense. He was telling a story to biographers about Millie coming to him with a stack of papers that were top secret. I don't even get it, man. I don't even get it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I heard it all wrong. They're laughing. They're all just laughing through this thing. The people that he's with, they're having a good time. He's Trump being Trump. There's nothing sinister here. Even if he was holding classified documents, there's nothing sinister. What the defense is going to try to say is that Trump just had classified documents laying around and he was just sharing it with all these people. And then he goes, "Here, hand me those." And these specifically the ones that were at some point, the ones that General Mark Milley brought to him and said, "You want to attack Iran." Maybe there were some of those documents somewhere in the boxes. Maybe there was something related to that they're going to try to tie it together. I don't know how the audio is ever going to tie those documents to something like that. This was not a serious conversation. This was not, he was mocking Milley. It's funny. It's classic Trump. He's like, this guy is the question was leading. Obviously, these people work for Trump. They were asking him the questions. They're like, well, Milley was out to, have a coup from day one. He goes, "Oh, with Milley, let me see that. I'll show you an example. I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I got this big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look, this was him. He came to me, the Department of Defense, and dropped these papers in front of me." That's what he was saying. I have no idea. I'm not going to, every podcast, every day, play this court case out for you, but it's just so funny that they run with things on the left that they just cannot wait to have this leaked information. How about there's never any leaked information on Biden? No, you have to have crackhead Hunter leave his laptop at a repair shop in order for something to happen. It's never leaked. Who leaked this? How is this audio leaked? Sometimes you like after Tucker Carlson was out at Fox, do you remember the leaked clips of Tucker Carlson? And Mediaite or somebody thought, oh, God, we got all this great stuff. Look at all that we got on Tucker Carlson. This is stuff when he was not on the air. We got this. There was nothing. There was nothing there. The stuff that they put out, they're so stupid. The stuff they put out actually, and this included, will make Trump supporters dig in even harder for Trump. They don't even understand that unless you really have something, don't run the story. It's not something to just have a piece of audio. It's not something to just have a little video of Tucker Carlson making fun of a bad guest that wanted to be on the show or something like that. That's standard order of business. You see it and you expect it. Tucker's show was great because he wanted to keep crappy people off his show. I get it. I totally get it. The case itself, Monday was a big day for Donald Trump. Again, Judge Eileen Cannon, who is the judge in the case of the 37 charges against Trump for secret documents or the Mar-a-Lago. This is the Mar-a-Lago case. She slapped down prosecutor Jack Smith. Jack Smith petitioned the court to keep 84 witnesses secret from the American public and to keep the entire case secret and bar Trump and his attorneys from communicating with all of them. Well, I assume a good portion of the 84 witnesses that they'll wanting to call are ones that they'll threaten jail time against if they don't tell them something about Trump, that these would be Trump people or former Trump employees. He got a lot of enemies now. He's got a lot of people that worked for him in his administration that he's fired and talked bad about and all that. There's plenty of people out there willing to come forward and try to say something really crappy about Donald Trump. That's his biggest problem. Ultimately, that's his biggest problem is the enemies that he's made and the insults that he's thrown and the people that the government could bring as witnesses against him. That's probably his biggest problem. Not the actual law, not some of these other things. But the judge, Eileen Cannon, slapped this thing down and said, no, you're not keeping the witnesses secret. No, you can't bar them from communicating with the witnesses. And no, we're not keeping the case secret. We'll redact some names here and there if we need to for national security or something. But no. So Jack Smith was 0 for 3 on Monday in the case against Trump. That didn't get any play. Nobody's ever going to report that. And if they do, they'll just remind everyone that Judge Eileen Cannon was appointed by Trump. Well, no, this needs to be the most transparent case ever. If you're going to have a sitting president, have a Department of Justice run 37 charges on his main competitor for the White House in the upcoming election, who is also a past president, in historic fashion, never done before. This is Havana, Cuba type stuff. This is Venezuela. This is Ukraine. This is every corrupt country you've ever seen anywhere. That's exactly what this is. We are no better. We are actually worse because we have a history and a tradition of never doing this. So this is actually worse here than in those other places. If that's what we're going to have, Judge Eileen Cannon, and I don't care who appointed her, understands one thing. This will be the most transparent process you've ever seen. It has to be. There is no way this thing can be done in darkness, and the American people can't judge for themselves whether it's fraudulent or not. You know, they kept a lot of stuff out of the impeachment, and because they controlled the House, they were able to control almost everything when they were impeaching Donald Trump of what got in and what didn't get in. It was a one-sided impeachment. Everybody knew it. Everybody saw that. If that's what they're attempting to do here, that ain't going to fly. It's not going to fly because you're going to get the other side. This is going to be very interesting. The other thing about these cases, there's a person named Walt Nauta, N-A-U-T-A. I don't know if you know who Walt Nauta is. If you look at the actual case, it is the feds versus Donald Trump and Walt Nauta. Walt Nauta was a Mar-a-Lago aide who apparently at some point moved some of these boxes, which means he probably handled them and didn't have top secret clearance. And I assume what they're doing here by attaching him to this case as well is at some point they will threaten him with 10 years of jail time if he doesn't cooperate and give them some sort of information on Donald Trump. That's my guess as to why he's on this thing. It's ridiculous. I think perhaps the most absurd part of all this is the fact that Walt Nauta is part of this case as well. Nobody knows who that is. Nobody in America cares who that is. I think the Republicans should be playing that up to the hilt to the American people. That Joe Biden is so ruthless, so criminal, so dirty, he's going after Walt Nauta. I think they should be talking about this guy right and left. He's just an aide at Mar-a-Lago that moves things around, helps, whatever. I want to move my office furniture around. I'm sure Walt Nauta was the person that made a lot of that stuff happen. This is just so absurd. The entire thing is absurd. And now it appears the way the Republicans are going to fight back is to try to have an impeachment of Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, for running interference and withholding investigation into potential crimes by the Biden family, for peddling influence for money with other countries. We have the full video and audio from last week when Prime Minister Modi was here from India, and Joe Biden is sitting at the table. This went all over social media yesterday. It's absolutely gone viral, where Biden is mumbling around, and you could tell he's having one of those moments where he doesn't know what he's doing. It's a big state deal. The Modi's right there, and all these other muckety-mucks are at this big table, and Joe Biden says out loud, "I've sold state secrets." He just says it right there in front of everyone when the cameras are in there. You can just hear it plain as day. "I've shared with you and I've sold state secrets." What? The president of the United States, the serving current president of the United States, is on tape with other world leaders at the table saying, "I have sold state secrets." And we're worried about a recording where Donald Trump is doing an impression of Mark Milley? This is just unconscionable. It's ridiculous is what it is. It's a farce. I think the American people are going to see this as a farce, and maybe, just maybe, the election will reflect that. That'd be very nice. KKHI is brought to you by Back 9 Development, your custom home builder. In Manhattan, Topeka, Lawrence, Kansas City, TJville, Kansas would love to build with you. Whether it's a commercial property or the custom home you've always dreamed of, TJ can bring your dream to reality. 785-236-0161. He only does the very best, high-end, high-quality projects. You're going to love it. You can see it all online at back9development.com. His portfolio is there. He's working on several houses in the Kansas City area right now. I ran into one of his foundation guys a couple of weeks ago. Said it's so great working with TJ, and you ought to see this beautiful lake house they're building. Yeah, that's Back 9 Development. If you can think of it, he can execute it. Back9development.com. That's the numeral 9, back9development.com. The Blue Mont Hotel in Manhattan, Kansas is a longtime sponsor of KKHI, and a lot of folks are planning trips there this summer for maybe weddings or sporting events. You got Little League baseball tournaments, soccer tournaments, all kinds of things going on in the Manhattan area. You may stay for a day or two, or if you're nearby and you want to get away and stay in the big city, the second fastest growing city in America is Manhattan, Kansas. If you would like to go see everything that beautiful Manhattan, situated in the Flint Hills, has to offer, log on to BluemontHotel.com. That's BluemontHotel.com. Don't forget Goolsby's Indoor Entertainment Center and Restaurant. You can pour your own beer or seltzer right off the wall with the Fast Pass. It's pretty cool to walk right up there and do that. It's all at the Blue Mont Hotel on the corner of Campus and Aggieville. Couldn't be a better location. Wonderful place to host a conference, seminar, training events, even more. They hold ridiculously great events on their 5th floor meeting space. It's got 6,000 square feet of ballroom, classroom, rooftop patio, pre-function area. They can host your gathering, all with amazing views of the Flint Hills, Manhattan, and the K-State campus. Very cool stuff. BluemontHotel.com. And my buddy Tim Cross over at Cross Kitchens, KC. Online at crosskitchenskc.com. They are family-owned and operated. He and his wife, Brittany, run the business. They got a little tyke that's probably going to learn the business at some point, but doesn't know it yet. All right? Hey, if you just need something little, like new countertops or new flooring in your kitchen to bring it back to life a little bit, Tim would love to have the small projects too. Some of those can be done in just a couple of days. Or if you'd like to do something big and really, really renovate your home, he'll do that too. He's Kansas City's remodeler. This is a great family that's been committed to our community for decades, the Cross family in Kansas City. And Tim is carrying on that tradition in his business with Cross Kitchens, KC.com. Of course, they do bathrooms. Of course, they remodel your man cave. But they love to work in the kitchen because they know that's where your family gathers. And it's such an important space. Cross Kitchens, KC.com. My first job, my first real job, my first job, I mean, I delivered newspapers as a kid. I used to keep score of basketball games. When I was like 8, I would be the scorekeeper, not the scorekeeper, the timekeeper of little basketball games of other 8 and 9-year-olds or whatever. That, it paid decent money. And we would go up to Hickory Grove and the gym there, and I would keep the clock or keep the score on the clock. And sometimes I'd do like 6 or 8 games in a row, and it paid pretty good money for a little kid. My mom would drop me off, pick me up. Sometimes they'd be there. I'd walk across the street or down the street to Jack in the Box maybe. There was Jack in the Box then, and then it went away for years and years and years, and now it's back. But I would get a taco or something at Jack in the Box when they'd take 45 minutes off. It was a fun job. That wasn't my first real job. I didn't consider that really a job. That was just hanging out at basketball games, starting and stopping the clock and keeping score on the scoreboard. That's all I did. My first real job was in Roeland Park at a place called Waji's. Original owners were Ward and Jim, so they called it Waji, W-A-J-I, the first 2 letters of their names. But that isn't who owned it when I worked there, and my brother had worked there, so I was familiar with Waji's, and I used to ride my bike there and get a milkshake or something when my brother worked there. So when I was 13, they hired me to mop floors on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings when I could. And I was a good worker, and I knew kind of the place because my brother had worked there. And so it didn't take long before they said, hey, we'll take you on. At that time, I think you had to be 14. We'll take you on for more of a real job. Like I couldn't work over the grill at 14. There were some safety requirements or things that I could and couldn't do. I wound up running the cash register. And that was fun. The orders would come in. I'd put the orders in. I'd write them on a ticket. And I'd take people's money. It was all cash back then and make change. I enjoyed doing that. Occasionally, I'd go over to the milkshake machine, make some milkshakes. I'd make the soft drinks and give them to the people. I loved the job. It was a great job. And it was in Roeland Park. I grew up in Mission, but it's right next to it. And so I learned to spend time in Roeland Park. And there were things in Roeland Park that I liked. There was a drugstore there. There was a store called Venture, which later became or was going to become a Walmart or did. And I think now it's a Lowe's. I'm not exactly sure. It's all been remodeled. All the buildings that were there then are not there now. It's all been redone and remodeled. But I was fond of Roeland Park. And I worked with people from Roeland Park. And all our customers were from Roeland Park. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. And Roeland Park was a great place. This would have been in the 70s and then the 80s. Great place. Roeland Park now is unrecognizable. Roeland Park now has a mayor named Michael Papa, who we warned you about, that if he became mayor in Roeland Park, all you know what is going to break loose in the name of woke, because college grads are buying these older homes, and they're coming in indoctrinated with their woke ideology that they were pounded into their heads in college, and they're doing it. Michael Papa has decided he doesn't like the state of Kansas passing laws about bathrooms and transgender, which is statewide. So he's doing the only thing he can do. He is rewriting the employee handbook if you work for the city of Roeland Park. This would be presumably anybody that works there, whether you're at City Hall, whether you're a city engineer, whether you work in emergency services, whatever it may be. They've got a new trans policy. They're putting it in the handbook beginning July 1, and it says if you work for the city of Roeland Park, you can use the facilities, and that means bathrooms, locker rooms, changing area, anything. You can use the facilities corresponding with your gender identity. It is being written into the employee handbook for the city of Roeland Park that you can use the facility that corresponds with your gender identity. Here's where Michael Papa, and I'm not going to bash him completely because he's got one thing right. The problem with Democrats is sometimes they may have the right thing in mind, but they don't understand the reality of how things play out. If you want to look at police departments and say, okay, as a Democrat, maybe we need to not spend the money over here, we need to do it this way, that's reasonable and rational. But when you see crime go up after you do it, you got to change it back and say, okay, that didn't work. That's all I'm asking of these people. So this Mayor Papa says in his comments about why he's doing this, he says, look, everybody that walks into a bathroom or a changing facility or a locker room is expecting privacy. This should never be a public display in any way. Okay, that's not written in the handbook. That's him giving an opinion why he wrote in the handbook that anybody that works for Roeland Park can use whatever facility they want corresponding with their gender identity. He's of the assumption, and this is where Democrats always go wrong, that everybody expects privacy and nobody wants to make a public display in any way. That's what everybody's missing on this gender problem. This gender identity is a public display. When you use the word identity, it's a public display. It's no different than if I put clown makeup on and identified as a clown and walked around as a clown all the time. I'm putting that on public display. Everything that I do, once I do that, I'm shouting to people around me, look at me, I'm a clown. People have done this forever. People have cross-dressed. People have gone in blackface. People have done all kinds of things, whether they're screaming for attention or whatever it may be the case. They've done this forever. There are just more and more people doing this. So I'm with him that anybody that walks into a facility expects privacy, and I'm with him that when I go into the bathroom, it shouldn't be a public display. But that's 99% of the people. The reason so many people oppose these things is it's the small percentage of people who do want it to be a public display. They do want you to look at them and say, I get to use your bathroom. They want to come right up next to you. And if you're I got to get these right. If you're a trans woman, you may just want to stand in there and pee with the stall door open, and here come the other women. You want them to see it. We're forcing this on you. I get to do this. Yes, I have a penis, and I'm in the ladies' room. That's what this is. That's all this is. There really is nothing else to this issue other than people who don't want you to have your privacy and people who do want to put on a public display. That's where he gets it wrong. He may even have his heart in the right place. I can't hate on the guy. I just know that you can't have both. You can't do this and give everybody privacy. It can't be done. It cannot be done. So he went on to say, I'm doing this because, this is all going to take care of itself. Everybody expects their privacy and there shouldn't be a public display in any way. Well, that's correct. That's just not the way it's going to work. Everybody knows it's not going to work that way. They just get it wrong so often because they don't live in a real world where they think, okay, how will this actually play out? Sometimes you can have policies and you need to think, okay, if we put this policy in, how does it really work? Okay? What happens in New York when you say, we can't have any more coal ovens, wood fire ovens, and make pizzas? When you attack pizzas and sodas in New York, what happens? I don't know. New York's mad right now that the Democrats want to get rid of, brick oven pizzas. That's crazy. That's New York pizza. That's their culture. It's what they are. You don't get rid of it because you're trying to, clean the toxins in the air from burning natural parts of the earth anyway? These people are nuts, man. The stuff that they want to do, they've lost their minds in so many ways. And welcome, Roeland Park, your new mayor, Michael Papa. Very, very nice. Hey, let's take a moment or two here about a couple of our retail sponsors, bstock.net. They got an Apple Watch as the red tag item this week. You might be able to score an Apple Watch for a price you never thought possible. It is started at $9.99. The bidding is now open. Go to theKKlist.com. You'll see it right at the top. It'll say red tag auction. bstock puts an item up there every single week and begins it at under $10. Wherever it goes is where it goes, but you can bid on it right now. The auctions normally run through Friday each week. And again, it's an Apple Watch. Go check it out. Chris wants you to know that he's got a Samsung QLED this week, which is brighter than a regular 4K. 70-inch. This is the high-end model. This is a really beautiful picture. 70-inch for $599, and they'll deliver it to about half of Kansas City free. The other half, they may charge $25 to $40 depending on where you live. Okay? It's $599. So let me just give you a little context here. $599 is $350 less than Best Buy. He's personally recommending this television. It's a Samsung 70-inch QLED. It's got a much brighter, clearer picture than some of the regular ones. This is a beautiful TV that's going to go for about $1,000 at Best Buy, $599 at bstock.net, 14680 South Flaming Road. If you want one and you want it delivered, just call them up and say deliver it. Just deliver it to here's my credit card number. Send it on over. If you want to order it by phone, it's very easy. 913-800-1419. That's 913-800-1419, or visit bstock.net in Olathe. Jocelyn's Jewelry is located at 95th and Antioch. You know all about them. How about a 4th of July gift? They've got all kinds of fun little bracelets and items in there they have a few Chiefs things, sports items that they make, they craft on their own. And there's got some little red, white, and blue in there too. You want to check something like that out for the 4th of July? Just a little something says, I love you. Go on in there and do that. Or maybe you got in trouble and you need to go in there and get something really nice. Jocelyn's the place to do it. Online at jocelynsjewelry.com. The jewelry you'll recommend to your friends and families at 95th and Antioch. And Amini's Galleria has a massive 4th of July sale going. Independence Day sale up to 70% off retail. For your home, rugs, game room, outdoor, it's Amini's, 105th and Metcalf. 1-year stain protection on orders and outdoor furniture over $1,000. 1-year stain protection and an instant cash rebate on orders of over $2,000. And no interest financing available. Come on in. Sale ends July 9th, so you got plenty of time here. Their Independence Day sale is going to go on for quite a while. Up to 72-month no interest financing, instant cash rebate, and they have Golden Tee machines plentiful right now. Play over 90 different Golden Tee courses, 6 PGA Tour courses, Golden Tee for as low as $72 a month. There it is. Amini's, 105th and Metcalf in Roeland Park. On to sports. The College World Series was fun for a while, but it was a dud in the end. LSU just runs away with it. Now, what was fun was the fans. They went crazy. LSU fans went crazy in Omaha. They set that record at Rocco's. We've been talking about Rocco's across the street from the stadium. They sell Jell-O shots, and they keep score for which school buys the most shots. It looks like LSU alone is going to be over 75,000 Jell-O shots purchased this last week during the College World Series at $4 each. You think this man's got a good business model? $300,000 worth of Jell-O shots? How about he didn't have $10,000 worth of anything in it? Manpower. Actually, the people to make them was the most expensive part. 75,000 Jell-O shots LSU consumed at $4 each is $300,000, and LSU wins the national title, College World Series. I say it was a dud because Florida got the lead, and you're like, okay. LSU comes back, gets a couple runners on, and Florida just doesn't have a pitcher that can throw a strike. They hit a couple batters, they walked a couple, then a little seeing eye single scores a couple runs, and you're like, oh boy, this is not going well. LSU just destroyed them. Just destroyed. It was that night, and it was a rough environment from Florida. Everybody for LSU was just going crazy. They were standing all night. They had, it seats 25,000, I think, and they estimated that there were 20,000 LSU fans in the stands, and they were just going nuts all night. I think I saw Brady Singer there, the Royals pitcher, former Florida. Did I just catch that out of the corner of my eye before the game started? I thought they showed him up in a box. The Royals have some Florida players, but it was not a good night for the Gators, as LSU is your national champion. That's a really cool event. Those fans were really into it. It gets bigger every year. I hope it stays in Omaha. My fear is it's going to get bigger and bigger, and they're going to move this thing and have it at Yankee Stadium and, goodness knows what else. I just think the environment that they have there, they better stick with what works, because it really, really, really works in Omaha. Really cool stuff. North of the border, Grady Dick was introduced to the Toronto media. The former Kansas star is now part of the Toronto Raptors in the NBA. And he said all the right things. I played for a great coach in Bill Self, and I got a great coach here who's already showing some things to me in a personal workout. They'll be playing for the developmental team in Vegas beginning in July. He and Marquise Noel, KU and K-State backcourt for the summer league team of the Raptors. But Dick's going to be a big part of this thing, obviously. And he said all the right things, and they like him, and he's the boy next door. He's got all these things going for him. So really the headline, the good news story that came out of him meeting the media in Toronto had to do with the questions about his red jacket, his Dorothy jacket from The Wizard of Oz, the ruby red slipper sparkly jacket that he had on. He came clean on this. He said he also had the pants, but he had to scrap them because the tailor screwed up. They didn't fit right. I would argue his jacket didn't fit right, and it's time for a new tailor. Honestly, that jacket didn't fit him very well either. But the pants had to be scrapped because they didn't fit at all, apparently. So he said, well, I toned it down, but still stayed loud. So that was kind of the point. Everybody's still talking about the red jacket that Grady Dick wore. And, this is pretty simple. He was drafted as high as he was because he's the best shooter in the draft. There is a belief in Toronto that this will be just a flat-out elite three-point shooter. Not that that's the only thing he can do, but he's tall, he's long, he's still growing, he's going to jump better in a couple of years. Everything about him is going to improve quickly now that he's in the NBA, and Grady Dick is thought to be the best three-point shooter in the draft, and every NBA team wants that. So he's in a good spot there in Toronto. Pretty cool stuff. Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham. You remember this guy? Do you remember? Sometimes we forget pretty quickly. It's only been, 5 months since the Chiefs won the Super Bowl? All the goings on around it. Eagles fans complaining about referees, all the problems in the game. The halftime was too long. They thought the Chiefs were better in the second half because Rihanna took too long. The referees were bad. The field sucked. I mean, we heard everything in the book from the Eagles. When in fact, the truth is, the Eagles couldn't handle the Chiefs' offensive motion. They were confused by it. And your star quarterback, Jalen Hurts, fumbled the ball for a touchdown. That's usually a deal breaker in an NFL game. Chiefs got 2 sacks in this game, so they sacked the hardest quarterback in the league to sack. The Chiefs sacked him twice. And Brandon Graham is on a podcast 5 months after the Super Bowl bitching and moaning about the field conditions. Brandon Graham says, you need traction, and we were slipping a lot. Then he's full of crap because here comes the next line. You know the next line. You know what the next line is going to be. You know the next line. The next line is, I don't make excuses, but I'm telling you, that O-line of the Chiefs, they got blessed. I'll say that. Oh, my God. Are we still talking about the field condition? Your guy fumbled away a touchdown. Your defense didn't understand the Chiefs' motion in any way, shape, or form, which had to be coaching because we didn't really see anything we hadn't seen before. And you had 2 weeks to prepare, and you didn't do it. You didn't get any sacks of an injured Patrick Mahomes, who was hobbling around, right? But the Chiefs sacked Jalen Hurts twice? What on earth? I mean, I thought the Eagles were a nice story and a fun story, and I didn't root against the Eagles once last year, and I thought, well, this is great. I think I'm done with them. I don't even understand it. You had a lead. You had a big lead. You're on defense. You're complaining about field conditions not sacking Mahomes. You didn't do your job in any other phase either. It wasn't Rihanna's halftime show. It wasn't the field condition. The Chiefs worked you over in the second half of that game. You didn't know what they were doing, where they were going. You couldn't handle it. You couldn't do anything to an injured Mahomes. I don't get it. Man, I think when you lose, you just suck it up and say, we're coming back. We'll get them next time. It is Patrick Mahomes. At some point, you just got to say, wow, that guy's something else. Brandon Graham. That's who we're talking about there. One other NFL note, the New York Jets say they are bracing for being selected as the team to be on Hard Knocks on HBO. It's probably time for that show to go away. I can't imagine it makes that much money that it's that important in the NFL. 17 years of Hard Knocks. They have 3 rules. To be on Hard Knocks, and you don't get to make the choice. If the NFL tells you you're on it, you're on it. You can't have a first-year head coach. You cannot have been in the postseason the last 2 years. And you cannot have been on the show in the last 10. Well, there's the Jets. They don't have a new coach. They haven't been in the postseason the last 2 years, and they haven't been there in 10 years. So the Jets are bracing, they say, for having Hard Knocks in training camp this year, which, of course, is Aaron Rodgers. I tried to make a bet with a buddy over the weekend. I wanted 5-1 odds. I said, you give me 5-1 odds, and I will bet you the Chiefs' lowest scoring game of the year is the Sunday night at the end of September at New York. I'll bet you that's the Chiefs' lowest output point total of the season. But I need some odds because there's 16 games. He declined it, but we'll see. I'm going to keep pushing for that wager. I think that Chiefs-Jets game right now, as it stands today, has got 20-17 written all over it and should be a whale of a game, but a different kind of game for the Chiefs. Maybe more like they've played some against the Broncos, but not as inept as the Broncos. Defense even better than some of Denver's defense. And obviously Aaron Rodgers better than any quarterback the Broncos have trotted out since they had Peyton Manning. So we shall see. Our final is brought to you by Fry Orthodontics, online at fryorthodontics.com. It's time to get that beautiful smile. We don't talk enough about adults doing this. You know, Invisalign is an official sponsor of the NFL, and they're reaching out to adults who didn't have the opportunity as youngsters to perfect their smile. You can do this. It's pretty easy to do it. You can't see what's going on. It's not invasive in any way. Invisalign at Fry Orthodontics is the same price as braces. I'd recommend this to any adult that doesn't love their smile. If you want to learn more, log on to fryorthodontics.com. Just give them a call and set up an appointment. There's an office near you. When you have Invisalign, they'll do video exams. They can do video checkups. If you're busy, you can't always go to the office, you can do that by video as well. Get that beautiful smile for life. fryorthodontics.com. Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC now taking orders for the all-new Chevy Colorado and GMC Canyon. Motor Trend has rated this the best mid-size pickup. Yep, better than all those others. That's Motor Trend's already given it the award. Best mid-size truck, Colorado and Canyon from Chevy and GMC. You want to order it? They build them in Wentzville, Missouri, right outside St. Louis. You can have it built just like you like it. They'll get it right to your house. Or you can pick it up at the dealership in Excelsior Springs. Online at robertsrobinson.com. And our friends at ticketsforless.com want to remind you it is concert season, and the biggies are coming up. We got Taylor Swift still. Whoa! Taylor Swift, Billy Joel, all these concerts coming to Arrowhead and around Kansas City this summer. Tickets are available at ticketsforless.com. Use the promo code KKHI to knock off anywhere between 5 and 15% of your regular order. No fees ever added. Ticketsforless.com. Our final is from the world of agriculture. We say sports, politics, and life. I like this story. This is something I've never heard of, never thought of, and I really appreciate. There's been a lot of talk out there about artificial intelligence, and we know how it can be used in nefarious ways against us. We already know that artificial intelligence is going to skew way to the left. This is a given. We've already seen that. It took about 3.5 days for people to say, oh, when you go on Chat GPT and ask to describe Joe Biden and describe Donald Trump, you're going to get 2 completely different answers. That was the easiest one yet. So you know everything is skewed that way on some of these sites. But artificial intelligence itself can be quite remarkable for mankind. One of the ways this is being applied is a brand new spaceship-looking thing is the only way to describe it, but it's on 4 wheels. It actually looks like something out of Star Wars. It sits up off the ground. It has lights underneath it, make it look like a UFO at night. They love to take pictures of it in the evening because you can see the lights underneath it. They're lasers. This is called the laser weeder. And I don't know how much it costs. I don't know if you buy your own or if they bring the service to you for a couple of days and take care of your farm fields. This laser weeder has 13 lasers on it, cameras and artificial intelligence that can see the difference between the crop and the weed and measure how big the weed is and how many neurons or whatever of laser zap right into it. It will zap 200,000 weeds per hour at an 80% savings to farmers. You will use fewer chemicals on your crops, and it basically could replace 70 workers out there pulling weeds. This is unbelievable. I don't know that it works. I've only read my first story about it. If that's true, you want to talk about a game changer. If artificial intelligence is doing that, that's a game changer in agriculture. That is a big time deal. Fewer pesticides? I mean, that alone is awesome for all of us. You know, we don't really want stuff sprayed on the stuff that we wind up eating. We'd rather not. We'd rather not. This is a way to maybe replace some of that. Not all of it, I'm sure. But some of it, called the laser weeder, if you want to Google it and check it out. It looks like a very fascinating machine. Again, I'm not endorsing it, saying it works. I'm just telling you what the manufacturer says. And he believes the application here in agriculture will be stunning for America's farmers. And they will save money by using the laser weeder. It looks really cool. Check it out online. You've checked this out online. We really appreciate that. KKHasIssues.com is the website. If you'd like to sign up and become a patron, we'd love to have you there. It's KKHasIssues.com. $5 a month. We do usually 3 premium patron podcasts each week and the newsletter on the weekend. So if you'd like to join up, sign up. If you just want to hit the like, follow, or subscribe button, that is absolutely free. And more than anything else, just tell a friend or someone in your family that you think Kevin Kietzman has issues.
Thanks for listening to Kevin Kietzman Has Issues, presented by Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC. To get exclusive patrons-only podcasts, receive a weekly newsletter, and attend in-person patrons-only parties, visit KKHasIssues.com and become a patron today. This has been a production of Crooked Tail Media Incorporated.